Professional development, reflection. Previously, I talked about the importance of feedback, but just receiving or giving feedback is not enough, even though practice of it is very important. You also need to do something with the feedback you've received. You can't just read it and then put it beside you, because then there will be no development. You won't improve if you don't touch upon your weaknesses. So in order to improve, certain change needs to happen, and you need to be aware of habits you have before that change can prevail. You need to know what you need to change and your weaknesses and strengths before you can adapt yourself towards them. And then in my personal development on this competence is that I started as a very self-reflecting person initially. So I already did a lot of reflecting upon my personal behavior and upon my weaknesses to begin with. But this is on a personal level and not on a professional level. So let's see. So I already had this certain self-awareness, and I already knew that my weaknesses in this case lay with the social skills, lay with the communication, and lay with the fact that I was not an experienced teacher, so I needed to develop teaching skills. And I was not comfortable with a lot of the teaching skills. And this self-awareness and this self-reflection I used to analyze a lot of my actions. So for example, in let me give you, I have one written down right now. I did not have one written down. For example, I really overthink ways I say things, so words are really important to me. The main reason why I decided to do my portfolio through speech instead of through just writing is because I nitpick on specific phrases a lot. You can still see it in my speech pattern as well. I think about a word because I know there is a word that specifically describes my feeling or the thing I want to describe. I really want to use that word because that conveys the feeling and the sensitive that I want to convey. And in speech I'm way more relaxed with that. So in writing I get so focused on wording, on language, on professional wording and language, and specifically, and in talking in a specific tone that I don't have in verbal speech, I guess. Which is a thing that I became aware of and that I reflected upon and then adapted myself towards to make myself feel more comfortable. I was lucky enough that it was possible, that we had the diverse ability to be able to do that. But in a situation like this, I think about it, I overthink about it, and then and it becomes a weakness. These kinds of situations naturally developed, so there will be a situation, I will think about it, I will reflect upon it internally, and then adapt towards it. If I get a good reaction, I will repeat the process. If I get a bad reaction, I will change the process. And communications I'm thinking about now. But I never had to write these down, and as I mentioned before, writing down those kinds of stream of conscious emotions is very difficult for me. And that's something I worked upon this year, but then I wasn't satisfied with the reflections I gave this year because I could not find the right tone, and it became very blasé diary-ish. So I'm not satisfied with them and the process or the development I made upon reflections. I stuck to the habit I already had of self-reflecting and did not improve my professional reflection skills, which is for next year definitely something to work towards. With this new technology of verbal communication, I think I can try and reflect in that way. Instead of having to write everything down, just make a voice log of everything that I have to reflect upon. Because written down, it feels like oh yeah, dear diary. I felt okay with doing this today. There was nothing really struggling. It's like that feels very unprofessional towards me, and I don't think that I gained much from doing that. But I need to learn from the process anyway, so voice logs it is. uh, um, did I miss anything? Let me check if I missed anything.